Hi everybody, Doodle owner Christina here. With the quarantine and everything going on, I thought it might be helpful to share some tips on grooming your own doodle in case you wanted to DIY. I've been doing this for about 9 years with Allie here. Say hi, sweetheart. Hi. And today we're going to do a really rough cut just to be really kind of basic and simple for spring. If you can see here, her, I don't know if I'm shooting that right there, her legs have been really long throughout the winter, and I really like that cut. You know, it's a little bit like a schnauzer cut. You leave it long on the tail and the legs and then shorter on top. I really like that look, but when we get into spring here, you know, it's not winter anymore, it becomes really impractical. And so I'm cutting her down to, and hopefully you can see this here, learning how to use my camera. I'm cutting her down to this length just to really clean it up and get rid of, you know, the ability for ticks to grab onto this stuff, the long stuff, and also making sure that stickers and stuff out in the weeds, because, you know, we're on acreage here and she definitely runs through the woods, that it's not a risk anymore. And so she's nice and cleaned up for spring. What this is not, it's not a fancy cut. It's not going to be real clean or close to the fur. And in fact, what I've found through experience is that, you know, number one, they don't care. She has no idea what her hair looks like. So it's not about her caring about the style. Nobody really sees her out on our land, especially when we're in her quarantine. So this isn't so much about looks as it is about function. And then the other thing that I've learned is the cool thing from a look standpoint, on the flip side of the coin, is when you do this cut and then you wash her, we're actually going to wash her after because I'm doing a hand cut with a set of shears. After you wash and bathe most doodles, if they have any wave in their hair, it's actually going to look good. This will actually end up looking like a teddy bear. So she'll just have this rough cut that's really short going into spring and summer here. So let's see if we can show you some tips on how to do this. First time shooting a video on my own like this, so we'll try. Yeah, good job, sweetheart. So you can see I've got these first legs trimmed up real good. And what I'm going to make sure I do is use these types of shears, if you can see that. They are, make sure it's in focus here. These are Conair. Anything that's like a really good quality shear. I wouldn't go cheap. Make sure they're really good grooming quality. And they have these rounded tips here on the end so that it's safe for your dog. And then what I do is I just make sure I grab a bit of fur and I am feeling for where the skin is. And the cool thing about Doodle's legs, at least in my experience, is the skin is so tight to the bone. There's not like any flab here or fat going on. Your risk of actually cutting the skin or getting close on a cut like this that's so long and rugged is, you know, very, very minimal. So it's relatively safe, especially if you're a first time person using shears like this instead of a trimmer. She doesn't like getting trimmed. She really doesn't like the buzzing on her legs. I'll do it when I'm doing her whole body because that can take hours. It can take 4 hours if you use the hand shears, and that's just not practical. But for today, since we're just going to do the rough cut, I'm going to use the shears here. So let me show you. I hope you can see this. Just an example. So I'm going to grab a bunch of fur. I'm going to feel with my fingers where the skin is. I'm going to make sure I feel that and then make sure I'm spacing out away from it. And I'm just going to grab and cut. And as you go with the repetition, you're going to start to get a good feel for where the skin is so that you make sure you don't injure the dog. And she's really good. We've trained on a command over the years, with her to stay and stand, and she's really good at it. She does get impatient though. I mean, who wants to stay still for a long time, right? Getting your hair cut, but hopefully you can see that. But she does really well. And my focus here, again, this is a lot more function than form today, even though we do take pride in having cute, stylish cuts on her. usually. But I'm trying to get like those matted parts like in kind of their armpit, if you will, like underneath on the inside of that leg where it meets the body. And just finding those chunks of fur. She doesn't have many mats because we've done a good job of trimming them up before. I am not someone that combs my doodle often. I will admit that. She doesn't like being combed. We didn't train on it a lot as a puppy. And I'm more in favor of just trimming things out. And that's worked pretty well for us, actually. We've gotten lucky over the years with her fur. So here you can see I'm just working my way down, making sure I get around that first little pad here that's on the back of their leg. And she does not like having her toes touched, so I'm going to show you how I do that, if you can see here. Really carefully, I'm going to make sure I just get some of that hair between the toe pads. And then just quick with her. She'll get kind of impatient with me on it. And we trimmed these up back in the early winter too, which helps. So she got some stragglers here. Hey, I need you to stay. Stay, sweetheart. Stay. Good job. Hey, stay. Let's go this way. You're kind of on a narrow little plateau here. Okay, good. You stay. Good girl. Good job. So I'm just trimming underneath. I'm not focusing on perfection. This is one of those situations where good enough is great and perfection would be the opposite of good. Because the dog doesn't care and you're just trying to get something done here. And like I said, when you wash them, it ends up turning out pretty cute. So it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to try to get some of her chest where it meets the armpits here too. Okay, let's turn around. Here, sweetheart. Come on. You turn around. Good girl. Good job. Let's do some back. We're going to show you cute little backside. So on the tail here, I'm also just about function. I'm just going to be hacking off pieces again. The tail's really nice and convenient because, again, there's really no flab. You're just grabbing for what you know is not the tail. You're not going to hit skin. I don't know if you can see that here. I'm just going to do this because, gosh, you could spend all day grooming if you wanted to be a perfectionist, but this is just so that she's comfortable and we don't run into issues. It's just so be cute. Cute enough. And the other great thing to keep in mind, especially if you're first timer or new to grooming on your own, the great thing about doodles is their coats are uneven and they grow out fast. So any imperfections that do bother you, they will start to cover themselves within a matter of days or even a week. It's really forgiving. I have curly hair, and I don't know if you can see that. I've got curly hair too, and I joke, like, the great thing about having curly hair, whether you're a dog or a person, is that it hides imperfections. And in fact, it looks kind of good when it's a mess. So I would say embrace that. Lean into that. And again, it's just about feeling the dog's body, feeling where that skin is, where are the little details and the little parts that you want to make sure you don't nick. I go pretty fast because, like I said, I've been doing this for 9 years. It takes a lot of practice. Don't rush it. This is one of those things you don't want to spend a ton of time. You do need to pace yourself so that you don't make mistakes and you don't hurt. So you can see her tail's nice and trimmed now. She looks funny. Her tail will curl up like a doodle, but she's part lab too. She just kind of, I always joke, she kind of looks like a little bit of a rat when she doesn't have all the wave and the fluff on her tail. And lastly, let's look at the back legs here. So I'm just going to start trimming these out. I can feel where her skin is again. Every single cut, I make sure I feel for where the skin is. I never not do that. This is also freehand, I should say, from a safety standpoint. If you're new, I highly recommend you grab one of those fine little plastic combs that humans have, or any sort of comb. Run it through the fur as a guard, and then you can also use that to then cut behind. Kind of like you see stylists do in human barbershops or, hair cutting salons. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm very familiar because I've done this for a while, and I'm feeling at every single cut where her skin is. So I'm being very, very safe. And I hope this is helpful. Depending on feedback and if people really get a lot of benefit out of this, I get a lot of comments. I hope I do. I'd be happy to post a full video on how to do full grooming with style. Once she's longer, I mean, that probably won't be till this summer. To show you how I do all of her, every detail. And the details are the hardest, of course. It's how do you trim their ears? How do you trim around their mouth? The private parts, like all that stuff, making sure that they're clean and healthy and as comfortable as possible. But also it's a training challenge too, making sure that they behave so that you can do it safely. And they learn how to kind of be still or behave as much as possible to get the job done. And tools as well. Like I said, I don't typically hand cut all of her with these shears because it gets to be way too laborious. It's not efficient. But I do have a great set of Andes clippers. If you're looking for trimmers for grooming, do Andes. They're amazing. It has literally cut down shave time by about 70% for me because I used to hand groom her with just these at first years ago. 4 hours total for the entire body. 4 hours. I got that cut down to about an hour and 10 minutes for a full body groom. And I'm pretty proud of that. So that's a great tool to invest in. And it will pay for itself over time if you think about the cost of going to a groomer. You can see I'm getting her right back leg trimmed up pretty good here. Nice breeze, nice sunny day. We're grateful that it's spring. If we have to be quarantined, thank goodness it's spring. I always try to think on the bright side, could be worse. And so then this is her little foot that's got some stragglers still on it. So we're just gonna trim those up. Again, she doesn't like me doing this. She's a really good dog. She's very patient, but she'll still kind of kick a little bit here and there. Sometimes. So they've got this fur here. I don't like that long. In the winter, it's bad for getting those snowballs. And, just a general practice, I think it's good to keep those furs short. Those tufts of fur short. Yeah, see, she's starting to pull back. Hey, I need you to hold still. Good girl. You're being such a good girl. Okay. I also will praise her and we'll take breaks whenever we're grooming. Maybe every 10 minutes or so. 10 to 20 minutes, depending how it's going. Get retreats. I praise her, but I also don't talk to her constantly because, it just gets to be a lot. And when she's being good, we're just quiet and we just go to town. So I don't want to make it a big event. I don't want her to think this is a big deal. It's just what we do. It's part of being a dog. Part of being a good dog is learning how to be groomed. Got little tufts in the front here we gotta get. Well, so she's mostly done. I'm glad that this angle can show you a lot. I've just never done a video on my own like this before, so I wasn't sure how this would go. We're really happy with this. I'm going to finish this leg up after I hit stop on the video. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to post them below. I'm going to go ahead and post this on YouTube so that you can check it out. And Allie and I say thanks. You want to high five me? She says, Mom, I'm on a ledge. This is hard. Here, come down. Good girl. Can you sit? High five. Good girl. Thanks, everybody.